Welcome to Put's Parcel. My name is Lisa. Let's get dirty. So, what are we doing tonight in the garden? It's been a while since I've made a video. I've been spending most of my time processing food, whether it be freezing, dehydrating, or canning. So I haven't made a video in a while. Tonight, so far, I've got a bunch of cherry tomatoes. Not sure if you saw that or not. They're in my shirt. Came out to the garden, was talking to my dad on the phone, and started picking without a basket or my garden pouch. Typical Lisa. But anyway, if you haven't joined me here before, I'm just your average in-ground backyard gardener here to share with you what I do. You do what works for you. So last time we left off, I believe, I was planting my fall brassicas. So let's head over there and take a peek at them. So they were teeny tiny little, just put them out. I believe that's a cabbage. Here is my giant cabbage that I planted in spring. I believe this is a giant tropic. It looks a lot like the 19.5-pound cabbage I had last year. I think this one might be bigger. I keep watching it to make sure it doesn't split, and it hasn't yet. And here's some more cabbages. I have broccoli and cauliflower growing in here. And down here on the end, I put some parsley, which I desperately need to cut back, and then hopefully I can get another cutting of that before it gets too cold out. Gonna head over here to my other patch of fall brassicas. There's more broccoli and cauliflower. Down here on the end, I planted 4 Romanescos. So Romanesco is kind of a combination between a cauliflower. It's shaped like little, it's a big head, but each floret, for lack of a better term, each grouping looks more like a cone than rounded off like broccoli. So I was just out here picking these cherry tomatoes. Pretty much have come to the realization that I have hit garden burnout. I love my garden, but it's with all the processing and stuff, you kind of just get tired. I really don't like wasting food. So this is my second planting of green beans. I did a mixed variety of green beans, a pack that had yellow, green, and purple in it. And then the second row over there behind that corn was called purple teepee. It is listed as a bush bean, but it does have a little bit of running to it. So at this point, if I grow it again, I probably still wouldn't trellis it. But here is my extremely huge trellis of pole beans. Most of the beans I missed a couple days in a row. We did have a little bit of rain, or I was busy from work and didn't get out here. So I'm at the point where I am just going to let the rest of these go to seed, and then I will collect as much as I want once the pods are dried up and shell them, and I will have seed for another time for whatever varieties I want to use that for. There's a weed, I'm going to get that gone. I did just recently do a huge harvest of red beets. I'm hoping when the season's over I can let you know how much of what I got out. I did kind of stop keeping track because it was getting a little overwhelming, but hope that I can give you totals. Now, when I track things, I don't track what we eat fresh. I only track what I process, freeze, dehydrate, or can. Here are my ginormous Brussels sprouts. So this comes above my waist. My waist is about 3.5 feet, and this is taller than my feet. I did top them, hoping I would get more development on my Brussels sprouts. So we'll see how they turn out. My peppers started off really slow but have done really well. I have so many peppers, I'm having a hard time keeping up with them. These are called candy cane peppers, and they will get a darker brown. I have eaten them green. They have a very mild green pepper taste when you eat them green. They're just sweeter when they're in full color. Over there is a paprika pepper. What else I have in here? I just picked them all the other night. Down here are some green peppers that are maturing and turning red. I did plant for the first time this year a pepper called Jimmy Nardello. And when these are ripe, they turn dark red, like a red pepper, and they are super sweet. They remind me of a frying pepper. I'm not sure if that's what they are, but I've been eating them raw and they're delicious. So I definitely will plant them again. My popcorn is starting to dry out. I did pull a couple of cobs off so far, and I'm waiting for them to. So here is one. I'm waiting until they start to completely fall down. They probably should be a little bit drier, but I don't want to lose them. I don't want them to fall down and the bugs to get them and for them to rot. So here's an example. This is one I took off, but this is what they do. They go from upright to flop. And that's when I'm picking them off. Because like I said, there's one that's starting to flop. I don't want the bugs to get in them. If they land on the ground and eat them, I want to eat the popcorn, and my family wants to eat the popcorn. Here's my first planting of beans. When my second planting started to flower, I just left these dry up. And these are the pods I actually picked from last night. This variety was Tema, and the variety on this side was Dragon Tongue. So let me ask about these. This is an orange cherry tomato. It's a little bit bigger to me than a cherry tomato would be. I have no clue what variety these are. They came up voluntarily last year, and they came up voluntarily again this year, but I never planted them. They are super prolific and they are very sweet, but I don't know what they are. Here's a lovely mess. This is part of that orange cherry tomato plant. And then underneath there is more of the same pole beans. Here's a pod that's got some lovely seeds in it. And I still have celery under there. I'm not sure what shape that is in. I've been pulling onions, and most of the onions I chopped and froze. Let me see if I can find a dried pod out to show you one that I would take in. Okay, so here is a dried Tema pod. It's not soft or wet at all, so that one would be good for me to pick and take in and shell. So I'll just take that in with me. Yes, there were more there, but there's more days that I will be out to collect them. And let's see, here is a dragon tongue pod that's starting to dry out, but it's still floppy and wimpy and not totally dry. Apparently I had some drop their seeds already, and these are starting to sprout. There's a good one. And some of the Tema seeds have done the same thing. They probably won't give anything. It's probably going to get too cold before they can produce, but I'm going to let them grow because it doesn't hurt anything, and I don't have need for this space. The only thing I do want to plant yet is some fall lettuce, some spinach probably, and some radishes. So let's look at these, this teeny tiny cherry tomato, is called a Mexican midget. This is the plant. It goes from the edge of my garden to almost the other end of the hog panel. I think the hog panels are 8 feet. And there are 2 other varieties of tomatoes behind this. I'm having a heck of a time picking them just because it's so dense and thick. I was single stemming, but at some point in time, the tomatoes do start to grow too fast and I can't keep up with it. Here is an orange slicer. These are delicious. I believe my cream sausage plant is done for. But there's a little one. It's a teeny tiny one. Now last year these got bigger for me. The plant took a long time to take off, but once it did, it was very prolific. And it has a very mild tomato taste, sweet but mild. And I really like them, so I did want to grow them again. But this year, not so impressed. So my theory on gardening as to how things go is it's really more dependent on weather than anything else. So this guy is called a Jersey Devil. It is a sauce tomato or a paste tomato. It's my first year growing those. It's done pretty well. I think next year I'll probably go back to San Marzano because it is way more prolific than this plant. These are definitely larger tomatoes than I get from San Marzano. But I like to try different things and see how they do, so I gave this a shot this year. I'm not saying I won't grow these again, but next year I really want to cut back on how many tomato plants I grow. That's what I said this year. But I did put, let me see, how much sauce did I get? I think I put 9 quarts in the freezer, and I water bath canned 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quarts, I believe. I also made 2 batches of pizza sauce, which gave 8 pints. And I made 2 batches of ketchup, and I got 9 pints out of that. So a decent amount. Now, usually at the end of the season for these kinds of tomatoes, I just drop them because I've had so much. And again, garden burnout is a real thing. But I think I'm just going to eat that one because there's no bugs in it. These are a sun gold variety. I don't know the exact one off the top of my head, but this is a pretty massive plant too. It's by no means as large as that Mexican midget. The Mexican midget seeds I got from my gardener, and I believe it's described as a smaller tomato plant, but obviously this massive thing is attacking me as I'm going through here in this jungle, so it's not a small plant. I'm sorry, that wasn't the Mexican midget. Mexican midget is down there at the end. But it's a gigantic plant. It's super prolific. I would say it's similar probably to spoon tomatoes. However, the Mexican midgets are a little larger. Here's more of these orange guys. They're just everywhere. They do fall off very easy, so I lose a lot of them. So that's how they're volunteering for me from year to year. I have started to pull off some of this stuff that's growing out into my pathway. Carrots growing underneath my cantaloupe and volunteer tomato plants. Here's a volunteer tomato plant. Goodbye. Basil is huge. This guy is so huge it can't hold itself up anymore. This is probably 3 foot tall. I will have to try to get some of that in and dehydrate it. Here is more of this orange tomato plant. Holy moly. It's just going everywhere. I typically can start harvesting carrots in July. But so far this year, I've only harvested a few. The ones I had over on this side didn't do as great as I had hoped, and I didn't plant that many. I planted some in there beside that trellis that has the pole beans and the volunteer tomatoes growing all over it. So I did plant some carrots in along that side, the inside. So when I'm ready to pull that stuff out and it's dried off and not enough, hopefully I have some nice carrots in there. And then I have all the carrots I planted on the east side of Tomato Alley. Yep. All right, so for tonight, I don't know what else I have to tell you. I'm still working at processing everything. Tomorrow I'll be making tomato sauce again. My daughter and I use that all winter long. I don't usually season my tomato sauce. I usually leave it plain, and then when I get it out to use it, I will season it for whatever it is I'm using it for. So if I'm using it for spaghetti sauce, that's when I will put my Italian seasonings in with it. If I'm using it for Swiss steak, it gets no seasonings, etc. So, all right. Let me turn my phone around here of the monster Mexican midget plant. And again, my name is Lisa. Thanks for joining me on Put's Parcel. Go out and get your hands dirty.